Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Table Podcast. Hope you're having a wonderful week. I'm Nick Hand, and so glad that you're joining us. If you like the podcast, tell your friends, rate, like, subscribe, review, all of those kinds of things. Keep the party going. Today on the podcast, my good friend Dave Martin. He's a leadership and success coach, best-selling author, mindset mentor. He's the host of Forbes Top 10 podcast. It's an incredible conversation. You'll laugh till you cry, and you'll learn a lot of things in the process. So I hope that you enjoy it. Again, tell somebody. Ladies and gentlemen, the legendary Dave Martin.
First the barricade, now the table.
The table.
Crazy, man. Just making friends everywhere you go.
Trying.
Do you when you're doing, because you do all the different events that you do you feel like you do a distinctly different approach when you're doing church, you're doing business events?
Yeah, I mean, the information's the same. But yeah, you have to approach it different because you can't tell all the Bible stories. You have to have real stories.
Yeah, you just water it down.
Just water
it way down, right?
If you just water it down, it's just like a secret church.
It just
Except you-
How did you even get into doing those events though? Like the different Bang energy drinks? Because I wish
actually was talking
could
to
you
him.
text him and ask him to sponsor my podcast? Would you please?
Actually,
Could you please just text him and tell him? I've been trying for a long time.
I was texting him. Actually, his wife had her baby today.
Really?
He's sending me a check for that church in Detroit. I'm like, I need some money.
Yeah.
I said, I'll let you be a sponsor because I have Harley as a sponsor my podcast. But I told him today, I'm like, you should sponsor some podcasts. I
Yeah,
actually
he
told him
should.
that today.
He really should.
So I will.
Okay.
I'll tell him. Because
Okay.
his wife their whole marketing strategy is to not do like just regular, they look for influencers and stuff like that to work through.
How did you meet him?
He actually goes to Potential Church
Okay.
in Miami. And so I met him there and he heard me speak. He said, why don't we come speak for his company and do some coaching with him? And we just hit it off. And then he heard me talking about being a kingdom millionaire, about not just making $1 million, but giving $1 million.
Right.
And so like probably a month ago, he gave his first $1 million check to his church.
Really?
Of course, that Bang does everything big.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
he
yeah.
got a huge $1 million check made and took it in.
Really?
Not just dropping the offer. He had to present it.
He had to
a
present
big
it in the whole
party. Dancers, Bang dancers,
That's so good.
Bang worship dancers.
Yeah. All wearing the t-shirts, right? How do you when you're going into those different environments though, I feel like you're a networking machine. Would you agree? I mean, for
I
what
would
you
say
do,
that's
you're
definitely one of my gifts is connecting, networking. How can I add value?
is it natural to you though?
Yeah, it's pretty natural. Like I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to talk to him. I bet if I could get him to sponsor this, it would be so cool. I'm like not thinking, no, I'm going to just keep that.
So you literally just think in that realm and then are willing to.
Yeah, I mean, the more people I help, the more, sowing and reaping just kind of works.
Just go ahead, just preach to me.
kinda
Just go
works.
ahead. What is this
There's
sowing and
the
reaping
Bible,
stuff?
and the Bible it says.
But you travel. Okay, so you travel so many days, all these dates a year. Obviously, probably didn't start like that. How did you get started?
Networking. How did I get started speaking?
Yeah. I guess
My dad's was a pastor, so I started
Okay.
speaking at church.
at his church.
Yeah, when I was like 15. And then
You got a young start, dude.
Yeah.
15 years old.
yeah.
Do you remember?
Singing.
Do you
I did
remember
more
your first
singing.
message that you did at 15?
I did. It was on the armor of God.
Really?
Yeah, my mom wrote it. I just preached it. She wrote it. But But I started out just singing.
Pull your mic down a little bit like this, and then go ahead and sing me a little something. I've seen you on social media, dude.
Singing?
Yeah, you sang a
Those
song
old videos.
recently, though. Recently you did. You were at some sort of event.
I did that was a big corporate event. I did.
Yeah, it was.
My whole message was wonderful life. And I was singing that.
Yeah,
the
you
old,
did.
I see trees of green,
Yes.
red roses too. Yeah.
You have the best gravelly voice I've ever heard. I love it.
Yeah, that was an awesome event too. That was like 20,000.
Really?
What's cool is on Sunday they let me come to a service and invitate. Like it's not invitational. Like it's not a requirement. It's not part of the conference.
Yeah.
So if you want to come, you can. You don't have to come.
Yeah.
It's not part of the conference. We had about 17,000 people came back Sunday morning.
Really?
And over 3,000 business people gave their heart to Jesus. So
Wow.
that was pretty awesome.
Now, not all the events you do are that big, or are they?
No.
So,
No,
I
they're
mean,
not.
you're wide, broad spectrum of.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, a few weeks ago, I did a cement company with their top 12 people.
What do you like? Which do you like better?
I like, because I use a lot of humor. I like the bigger crowd.
Yeah, because it's a little crowd
Yeah.
response is a little bit
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah. But, I mean, just teaching. I mean, it's easy to just sit and teach, but it's harder for the humor part.
Do you find yourself getting more anxious or nervous around bigger or smaller crowds? If they're new?
Probably smaller.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't feel like I have the humor to lean on as much. Bigger crowd, I can always lean to the
It's
humor.
your biggest crutch, huh?
And
Just
yeah, jokes.
jokes.
Got jokes.
Okay, so 15, you start speaking, but like, how did it evolve into this? How did you become the #1 Christian success coach, you know?
That was branding, actually.
That's not even true. It's just what we tell people.
We just had a vote. We were sitting around the room. Go, hey,
What do
y'all
we
think
do?
I'm #1?
I'm #1.
It's unanimous.
Yes, I am.
Joel Osteen always texts me. He goes, hey, 1.1. You know, he thinks he's better than me. Who is he? Smiley.
Who is that guy?
No, I got started in the corporate stuff actually from people at church, just teaching leadership stuff. And
Yeah.
I always loved the motivation stuff, being in sports and that kind of thing. And so I'd read self-help books, personal development books for coaching stuff for sports. And I'd be like, wait, that's in the Bible. Oh, wait, that's in the Bible too. I'm like, no one's teaching this at church.
Yeah.
And so how can I take these principles? You know, because people all the time, where did you get that? I'm like, you don't want to know.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, come on, where did you get it? I'm like, no, seriously, you don't want to know. It's in the Bible. You know, I knew you were going to say that, you know, because I mean, it's all in there. Like I was telling someone the other day, I said, you ever wonder why when you straighten up the shoes in your closet, you feel so good? Because that's godly.
Right.
You created order, and God is a God of order. So when you straighten up the shoes in your closet, you did a godly thing.
Yeah.
You put things in proper order and arrangement. And so you're doing a godly principle. That's why you feel like you can take over the world after you straighten up your closet.
Yeah.
You're like, what else can I do today? Yeah. So all these principles are there. And so how do we? And then you go in the corporate arena, and they're like, I've not heard that.
Right.
And we had it in the Bible.
yeah.
It was there for us. You know, but the
How
church is missing
are
it.
people finding you then, or what is is it really a networking thing when you're getting brought into these circles that are not religious circles? I mean, is it?
Yeah, that's not as much networking. I mean, in a corporate event, you know, you stay after to hang out, and they're looking at you like, "Did you not get your check?
Yeah.
You know, why are you still here?
Why are you
know,
here?
why are you still over
Because
there?
in the church world, you hang and
Weirdo.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Come on, we paid you, so we don't want to hang out with you. There, you know, it does grow through networking. Like I really connect with other speakers.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I can't do an event every year.
Right.
So I'll go, hey, I can't do this one, but I got a friend. He'd be great for this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking I would do that for people. So the more people I know, they would do that for me too. And so a lot of that happens that way as well.
Do you find yourself having to be intentional in your branding, being you're in so many different circles? Like, is that intentional for you? Because I mean, you'll go into a church that's, you know, Pentecostal Holy Roller Church, and then you go into a different style church, and you're a bit of a chameleon.
Yeah.
I mean, you know this, right? But is it intentional or not?
You know, I think God's just really allowed me to be in so many different circles of people that I can go into the old Word of Faith circle, and I know what they do. I know why they think the way they think.
Yeah.
I can go into a little Pentecostal church I grew up in, and I know why they think the way they think or why their mentality. So it also helps me know what areas I need to hit to bust up some thinking. And,
Right.
and then I end up, you know, in the Hillsong world and the Ark world, which is a whole nother world. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
was,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, none of it was intentional, actually.
Really?
I always say I followed the path of favor. I just saw one thing after another thing just kind of
What does that mean to you, follow the
Open up.
path of favor?
I think just as God opened doors, I just kind of walked through them. Like I didn't like how I ended up in the Hillsong world with Pastor Brian. It was a total favor. How I ended up at Ed Young's conference where he heard me, because Ed Young wasn't the kind of person I hung out with or knew.
Yeah,
I didn't know that church, but a friend of mine did, and got me to come to the conference. And I'm sitting there, and then I ended up the next day. I'm on stage, and
You were attending the conference and then ended up
yeah,
speaking at the conference?
yeah. And I didn't even know anybody in that circle. I mean, literally the front row are all my friends now. I mean, Pastor Brian, T.D. Jakes, all these people.
Yeah.
I didn't know who they were, but they were. I mean, I knew who T.D. Jakes was, but because he's like Jesus,
Right.
But
Who doesn't?
I think you have to have a J. If you want to have a big ministry,
Yeah.
like Joel,
Yep.
Joyce,
Yep.
Jakes, Joseph, Jensen, Jesus.
You got a lot, man.
Yeah, it's all the J's. But anyway,
What does that mean for guys like us? You know what I mean?
we just gotta
gotta-
help who we can. Just help who we can along the way. But so I ended up at this conference with a friend of mine, and ended up taking the offering, actually.
Really?
And that night just opened up incredible doors, and I just followed the path of favor is what I call it. I just happened to be there at the right place, right time, and I walked through the door when the opportunity came.
Yeah.
I just stepped into it.
So how do you draw the lines between, in our world society, and even a lot of, I think, the things that you talk about going after things, or, your part to play. Our society calls it, the hustle,
Right.
Really, you got to hustle, you got to put in the work. But then there's also
As Gary Vee would say,
you friends with him?
beep, beep. Oh, sorry.
Do you know Gary Vee?
I know him. I'm not
You're not friends
with
with
him. We've done a couple of events together, so I've been around him a couple times. Yeah.
That's cool. Seems like a cool guy.
He is. Smart guy.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Do you think though, like, so what part of it is, or do you even try to draw those lines? Like when you're encouraging people that, go after your dreams, it's possible. And then also there's this follow the path of favor. How do those things work together in your,
Right. I think you've got to do your part, and God does his part. With God, all things are possible. I do the difficult. I don't have to do the impossible. I just have to do the difficult. I just have to do my best and do what I know to do. And then it's up to God I had to make myself available to be there for God to open up the door.
How far do you go with that though? I talk to people that want to be motivational speakers or preachers or people that, do things like that, travel, and you hear people from different sides of the spectrum. You hear people calling and trying to get speaking gigs and speaking things, to come let me talk. And then there's other guys that just try to get in the room, and when if they're around enough, then somebody will, hopefully, if they have something to say, they'll be invited to say something. What is your 2 cents on that?
I think it's like I always say, Las Vegas has nothing to say, but they sure know how to say it. The church has everything to say and no clue how to say it.
Right.
So I think it's like a church, like, well, we just let the Holy Spirit bring people here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to make it easy because there's going to be bright lights and a big sign.
Yeah.
So when the Holy Spirit says go there,
Yeah.
it's going to be real easy to find us.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing with me. I let people know I'm available. That's what I do. I travel, I speak, and I mean, of course, you got to have a word to get invited back. You got to have something to say that's going to help somebody. But I mean, and I'll call people too and say, hey, man, I'm in the area. I'm coming by, or hey, I'm working on my schedule.
Yeah.
So I mean, I do that part. I know some people say, well, I just sit home. The Holy Spirit opened up every door for me. I'm like, yeah. Okay.
I'm sure now it'd be probably even a little easier than in the early days, right? For you? What was the beginning journey? Maybe for somebody listening that, has this thing that I feel like I'm supposed to be doing that. You can't really, it's one of those things that you can go to school and get communication degrees, but it's not something where there's a clear trajectory to that occupation, know? So for you, what did some of those early days look like, practically speaking?
You mentioned networking earlier, and I think networking has been a major key. It's building relationships and friendships, and how can I help? How can I be there for you? Adding value. If I add value to you, you're going to add value to me. And I've been to conferences. People have heard me speak. Say you've heard me speak at this conference. You heard me speak at that conference. But I see you're in town or I'm in your city, and I'll text you and go, hey, send you a message on Instagram.
Yeah.
Hey, let's grab a coffee.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we grab a coffee, and now we're friends.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't just see each other at a conference. You didn't just hear me. I'm not just the speaker on stage,
right.
but now we have a relationship. You're like, man, you got to come speak sometime.
Yeah.
So I've built a lot of it intentionally, building relationships and friendships. And then also, how can I help? I mean, guys call me all the time like, hey, I'm going to be at this. Could you help me get a seat here? Hey, I'm going to do this. Could you? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't even know them.
Do you ever get annoyed? Does it ever get annoying? Like, dude, you're only texting me because you want something?
You know, I don't really ever think about that.
It doesn't cross your mind?
No.
Because I sometimes wonder, in talking about the networking thing, what is the key to networking and not coming across contrived or like you have this agenda when in reality, in some ways you do. Like you're talking to these people for a purpose. I feel like there's part of humanity that's just the reality.
Right.
We lean on one another. We're designed almost that way, to be
Yeah.
able to draw strength from one another. So in essence, that means I'm reaching out to you because I need something from you. That's just the brass tacks of the matter. But how do you think the best way to quote unquote network in a way where it doesn't seem like you're just about your agenda? Because I think for a lot of people that does get old,
Well, I go into any situation not just thinking what are they going to do for me, but what am I going to do for them? I think networking has to be it's like negotiation. It's got to be a win-win. I'm not just here for you.
Yeah.
And you're not just here to see what you can give me, but I'm here. How can I help you? How can I add value while I'm here?
Right.
And I think as I do that, you're going to do that, and it's going to be a win-win for both of us.
Yeah.
And now we have a successful relationship. And so I look at every situation just like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, a few months ago now, in the same week, I was getting someone's seats at a TD Jakes meeting. I was getting backup singers for Demi Lovato at a concert in Arizona.
Wait,
And
what?
I was getting
pause. Wait, what do you mean backup singers for Demi Lovato?
Her people called me and said, I need backup singers. We're going to be in Phoenix. And I need backup singers. I need a choir.
Demi Lovato.
I don't know how I get in these
connected
situations, but I may be getting someone backstage to meet Katy Perry at the same time I'm getting.
Oh my gosh!
Someone wants to go to a Joyce Meyer conference.
Yeah.
I don't know how it happens, but if I can help, hey, I'm here.
Yeah. Well, I think you make a valid point that I think a lot of people, when they think of networking, they're going to the person because I need something from them. But I think the point of you got to see what you have to contribute first.
Yeah.
Right. That self-confidence in a lot of ways of the giftings that you have and bring to the table, that I'm not just going to this person to take something from them, but through the relationship, I can contribute. I have something to give as well. That probably is, would you say that's in a lot of ways probably the thing that changes it, right? That I'm coming to you because if I can be of help.
And knowing that at any level, I don't look at certain people, oh, you're at this level, you can't really help me. I always say, be nice to the chauffeur. He may be your only ride to the palace. I don't look at I can't learn anything from you. Who are you? I can learn something from everybody.
Right.
And so I go into any relationship looking like, how can I learn from you? You can learn from me. We're any situation, there's got to be some way that we can add value to each other.
So that preaches really good. But that's one of those things that I feel like is easier said than done, because I think like we're hardwired to. There's something about us that sees people that have influence as the more important people, or the people that don't are the less important people. Are you do you have to be intentional about that? For you, is it an intentional thing to say I'm choosing to see?
I've probably seen so many times that it wasn't that it was someone that people are just kind of looking at over here, just sitting over on the side that no one's really paying attention to. That I remember one time a pastor was at a pastor's conference, and there was this one guy, real quiet guy, sitting over here by himself. He's from another country. No one hardly talking to him. So I'm like, man, no one's talking to him. Well, I was sitting over here at the table with some of the biggest names you'd know. I'm like, I went over and I sat down next to him, started talking to him, and just, where are you from? Find out where he's from. He ends up becoming a great friend. Find out I go preach for him, and he's like, you should come to my country sometime. I'm like, I went. It's one of the best churches I've ever been at anywhere in the world. What he's doing is phenomenal, blowing away the guys I was sitting with. But no one knows. He's just doing his thing in his country, and And I learned some incredible things from him. But if I would have never took a moment just to go over and say, hey, I didn't go over there because I knew anything about him. I just, he was just sitting by himself, and I was like, I should go introduce myself to him, you know. So I don't ever look at it like, and of course, influence is power. I mean, that's great. I mean, when I love to teach people the power of influence, because when you walk in a room, who do you want to hear from? You want to hear from the most successful person, the most influential person. But a lot of times there's things out there that are waiting that we miss, that go right by us. We miss them because we were not focused on looking at what I could get from anyone, but only from this one person, or kind of thing.
I've heard a lot of people talk about, you know, I think I've even said it, and I feel like it's something that I'm evaluating what I think about it, but this whole idea of you can't, you know, don't listen to people that aren't in the place that you want to be, you know, and a lot of people think about that. And I feel like there's an element of that that's true, but then there's also this thing of, you know, if they're not doing or having the occupation or doing the things, then they can't, who are they to speak into or give me advice or wisdom? Do you think that's a good view to have? Or do you think that where I've been is I'm almost seeing, like, I feel like there's lessons to be learned from everybody. And there's certain people that haven't maybe had, there's so much of it that's opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's so much of it that, like, I feel like some of the greatest minds, people that actually have it or get it, never actually stood on a platform or had the, you know, Fortune 500 company that was successful and thriving.
Yeah, I think you can get some of your greatest ideas outside of your area of influence.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always when I'm looking for new ideas or new things, I don't want to go talk to another speaker.
Yeah.
What can I learn? I learned this years ago. A friend of mine, a guy named Lee Cockrell, he ran Disney World. So about every 6 weeks, I go to breakfast with him and just talk to him. I love Disney, for one thing.
Yeah.
But
you do.
I just so I want to hear everything about it. Yeah. But he was telling me about the you know, they have the pins, the trading pins. You know, people wear these little lanyards with pins. You can trade the pins. And he told me how that started. He said we always look for new ideas outside of our industry. He said we got that idea at the Beijing Olympics when we saw people from the different countries trading their pin, their flag for another country's pin. And we're like, oh, we should make pins and trade them. First year, I think they said Disney did over $3 million in pins. That was when they first started.
Really?
Now they're doing about $100 million a year just in pins and pin trading. But he said we went outside of our industry to look for something. Yeah. Southwest Airlines trying to figure out how to turn they're so fast at turning their planes around. Yeah. They went to NASCAR pit stop, the pit crews to learn ideas of how to turn their planes around faster. Wow. So I think if I just try to learn everything from people that are doing what I'm doing, I'm going to miss a lot of great opportunities.
Yeah. Do you find that in what you do, you have to be, because it would seem as busy as you are, you have to be extremely detail oriented and everything would be intentional. Is it like that for you? Or do you kind of run on second, like every 6 weeks I go and have lunch with this guy? Is that something that your calendar is just that meticulous and you're like?
No, not at all.
So you kind of rely on just your innate, what comes to mind? And
Sarah. I rely on Sarah.
Who's Sarah?
She's my assistant.
She's your assistant. She tells you what you need. She's the brains behind it.
For 7 years, I mean, I just I think it's something, I immediately say it into the phone, goes to her, and she puts it on my calendar or whatever. No, because I go. My phone rings. Yeah. I mean, just while we're sitting here, I probably have, I don't know how many texts or whatever. Right. But if I don't get it out, I'll forget. I'll remember that later. I'll forget that in 5 minutes. So I have to be intentional about giving it to her to make sure it's on my calendar. Yeah. And that kind of thing. So, you know, when I say every 6 weeks, it's not like every Tuesday of the 6th week. Like, it'll be like, hey, does this date work? He's retired, so it's a little easier for him, but as my schedule works. But we try to do that about every 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. So I'm I'm just a go person, and so I'm not a real detail person at all. So I got to have
other people around you.
Got to have people that's their strength.
Yeah. Do you rely on I guess when it comes to like mentorship and things like that.
I'm so glad you have your name on this thing. Or I wouldn't
So
even.
who are you?
I would
Who
forget.
are you again? What podcast is this that we're on?
Where am I? Wait, Sarah. Oh, it's Nick.
Has that ever happened where you like just straight up forgot somebody's name that you should have known?
Oh yeah, but you know it, but you're at the moment you're like, my good friend.
That's like, what did you post on social media recently? Somebody called you Dale or something like that. Was that real?
That was real.
How much of your humor is just made up stories? I feel like you would make some stuff up too, Dave.
You think I would make?
I feel like
up?
some of your stories
Now you're starting to sound like Stephen Furtick.
I think
he
that
accuses me of that.
I
all the
think
time.
that you make up some of your stories. Is it true? Do you ever think, oh, that'd be a good story? Let me just tell that one.
Maybe I'd say probably. I can't give you a percentage because they say that 63% of all statistics are made up.
Yeah.
Just made that up actually, but sometimes I'll hear a story, I hear a joke, and go, "Oh, that'd be a lot funnier if it was this," and I'll just kind of
So you just add a little extra to it.
rearrange it a little bit, make it funnier. I do that with Joel Osteen's jokes all the time.
Really?
I'm like, that could be a lot funnier if I tell it.
Okay, so I have a question about that because you are around a lot of influential people who have a lot of influence. I feel like
And I wasn't just trying to drop names.
Yes, you are. You're straight up.
no.
You drop Stephen Furtick, TD Jakes. Do you know Oprah? Is Oprah
If
another
any-
one? Do you know Oprah?
If
Can
anything
you
I've
text her?
learned,
Can you just text her, send her a picture of me right now?
yeah,
if you
that's
do?
the one thing I've learned from spending time with Oprah is not to drop
Get
names.
out of here! Spending time with Oprah.
She taught me not to drop names, actually.
When you were at Harpo Studios back in the day, telling her what she should do on her show, you've been deeply connected. I think one of the challenges for a lot of people is this whole, in our society, it's another one, being ourself, staying authentic. And I feel like especially when you get invited into spaces where there is this subconscious, and it's not intentional, but there's this pressure that you want people around you to like you, especially when you're meeting people of influence. I hope I don't screw this up. As a lot of times you're thinking, for you, how do you fight to remain authentic when you're around a lot of people that it would be easy for you, just being human, to succumb to the pressure of feeling like you have to, I don't know, act a certain way or be a certain way. For you, how do you center yourself to be yourself?
Yeah, of course, in different environments, you have to tune yourself a little different way.
Yeah.
But always being myself. Like I'm the one that someone's going to say, if anyone was going to say that, it was going to be you. Because that's me.
Yeah.
I like to be a little on the edge. I do that in my messages. I think for me, a lot of big speakers will curse.
Yeah.
Like a Gary Vee or
Yeah,
Tony
yeah.
Robbins. What they're doing, there's shock value.
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm not going to curse on stage.
Not on a microphone.
So, not on the microphone for sure. But I may push it to the limit on a joke, just to shock people a little bit. And go, can he say that in church?
Right.
Can he say that? Is that politically correct?
Yeah.
Even in the corporate side, I got to be. I'll push those jokes that are just is that politically correct to say that?
Yeah.
And but that's part of being me, and I had to learn that because I would get very insecure. Like if you're speaking, with a group of guys that are either like maybe famous or maybe better communicators, you're like, I'm not anything like that.
Yeah.
But that's where really it took me a long time just to be me.
Yeah.
Just to be me. I mean, coming up, I'd want to, if I was around you, I want to try to be like you. I wish I could preach like Nick, man. He's so cool when he does that. But then I'd be over here with this guy and I'm like, oh wait, I need to throw my coat on people. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
And, so you just kind of figure out who you're with. And for the longest time, that's what I just try to be with whoever I was. And just finally going, okay, this is me. And I'm different than you.
Yeah.
God didn't create us to be the same. If I'm trying to be you, you're trying to be me. One of us is unnecessary, And so I think settling into that was a big help for me.
There's so many people too that you see, if you don't intentionally make the decision to do that, especially in the world that we live in where things can go viral like that and your influence can grow like that.
Yeah.
I think about this for even like preachers on social media. It's so easy for you to, if you don't fight to be authentic, you can end up with an audience that you never really wanted that then force you into a corner that you never really wanted to be in based upon their assumption of what they think that you should be. based upon, the image that you do or do not present,
Right.
To people. It seems like you do push the envelope as it pertains to humor and things like that. There's this thing of almost, keeping yourself out of any box that people would want to put you in.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the things that I teach, mindset and those kind of things, it's all about getting out of the box.
Yeah.
And so I think that always keeps me. And when you're crossing over into different genres too, you got to be, I want to be salt and light, and if all I'm around is Christians all the time, and all I'm just like perfect.
And when
like
you
this,
salt and light for you, that means
I want to be a witness. I want to, I want to
stand out.
Yeah. In the corporate arena, I have opportunities to go places. Most Christians, most preachers I know never get to go.
Yeah.
Sit with people and that aren't even thinking about God.
Yeah.
But how do I have now an opportunity to be salt and light in that moment?
Right.
And so, I use all that as ways to open up that door to get me in that room so that I can be that.
Yeah. And being that for you is what does that usually look like for you?
It's all kind of different settings. One thing I learned from a mentor of mine was, he said, you get in a room full of business people. How can you they don't want you to talk about God. They don't want you, you're not going to try to preach to them. So how do you open up that door? So he's like, you're sitting around a table eating dinner. So tell me what's one thing in your life? What's the one thing that happened that probably changed your thinking more than anything else? Or what's one thing? I said, it's this time my wife and I were in here. What was one moment? So you go around the room, and by the end they're like, oh, that's great. And then they're all like, well, what about you?
Yeah.
But you don't know about
Yeah,
what I'm going to say. No, come on. Tell us what you're you're the speaker. They're wanting to know what great wisdom. I'm a Christian, and probably mine was when Jesus came.
Yeah.
And it never fails. One or two of those people will catch you later when they're by themselves. Can I talk to you a little bit more about that?
Yeah.
Or I grew up in church, or so it's just a way to kind of shine the light out there. But if you're never there, you don't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
I try to only keep about 10% of my friends as Christians. I try to get more of them non-Christians than Christians,
Right.
And I don't know how I got on that. What were we talking about?
It was money trails.
Wasn't focus. What were we talking about? Focus. Let me ask Sarah.
Just go ahead and shoot.
What was I talking about?
Shoot her a text. You know what I was talking about right now. Do you like when you are in these different groups though? Do you ever feel the pressure? Do you ever feel the pressure to perform, or do you feel the pressure that you got to be what?
Oh yeah,
people want you to be.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Especially you get into the corporate side, especially when they're paying you a lot of money.
Yeah.
They're expecting a certain
caliber.
So you feel I'll feel the pressure on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, until that check goes through. I'm kidding. I always want to do my best in everything that I do.
Have you ever bombed? Just like bombed?
Not that I could think of. Maybe on this podcast, but that's about it. Everything else has been really good.
No, I've always done a pretty good job. Have you ever, I mean, you hear people.
I pretty much watch my own videos.
Comment? Do you like make other accounts so you can just comment? Who is this guy? He's really awesome.
That's a good idea. Let me make a note.
Yeah, right. Start like a Russian troll farm. That's what you should do. Purchase a Russian troll farm and then just have them control the narrative of your organization and business.
Perfect. Can
That's
you
what
tell me how to do that?
You probably have Putin's number, don't you? Just give him a call. Shoot him a text.
Yeah.
Huh?
That might be a good idea.
You're probably friends with Donald Trump too, aren't you? No, we don't get into politics, do we?
We don't.
That's the key to your success, isn't it? You just stay out of politics.
Stay out of it.
Just chase your dreams the rest of your life, the best of your life, and don't talk politics.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you ever get into politics? Do you ever invited into those circles?
I have been invited, yeah.
Do you decline?
Yeah. A lot of times my schedule's full. But I really want to be there to support whatever
my gosh. I can help. So talk about this. Is it intentional? Do you decline intentionally?
Yes, I do sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because?
Yeah. I think
don't hold your tongue now, Dave Martin. Don't hold your tongue now.
I think to reach a wide range of people, what was the Bible say? Be all things to all people,
right.
And I think I try to live above that. I try to live in the kingdom.
Yeah.
And when you just live by that, it's like a friend of mine.
And
was talking about,
define that for someone who doesn't know what that would mean.
Yeah, I just in a higher principle. I take the high road on things. Like I'm not gonna. Why would I going to argue? We're not going to agree on that. So why sit and argue about it?
Right.
What can we agree on? I look to find what we're for. I want to talk more about what I'm for instead of what I'm against.
Yeah.
Like someone's like, have you ever done a series or teaching on racism? I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because I just choose not to be racist.
Yeah.
I don't. So for me, that's kind of just how I live my life, just trying to let me talk more about what I'm for instead of what I'm against.
But specifically politics, you stay out of that because it would shut you off basically to certain people if you chose a side. I mean, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, some people. Yeah, definitely.
How do you reconcile that with, and maybe you don't because maybe it's a personal thing, but do you ever feel a responsibility given your position to speak out on certain things?
I think it's what you're known for too.
Yeah.
Like I'm known for encouraging people to reach their dreams. I'm to encouraging people that they can do more with their life. And I'm a wisdom teacher, a principal leadership teacher. So I don't really I feel the responsibility to do what I'm called to do.
Yeah.
So some people, that's what they're called to do, is to speak out in those areas and go, hey, here's what the Bible says about this, and here's who I'm. That's great. I applaud them, and if I can help them, there's a pastor that loves to talk about politics.
Yeah,
and I know
Samuel Rodriguez.
He does too. He does.
Just kidding. He was on the podcast.
But I was able to connect him.
I'm going to get you in so much trouble on this podcast.
Have we started recording yet? Yeah. Oh shoot! Hope that thing's not actually working. But I was able to, because I do know people that are very connected there. I was able to make a connection for them to go to be invited to the White House, to go to the, and so I used my influence that way. That's what you love. Okay, let me connect you with this person because they can get you right in there doing what you love, and you can be a big part of it.
Yeah,
that's great.
So you use it more in that way, because I think we live in a world where there is a pressure on influencers to use the platform that they have to speak up for those who can't speak up for themselves, right? Like that's no doubt. There is this unspoken, I think it's bigger than religious. I think it's a cultural standard in a lot of ways that someone's trying to enforce, that if you have a platform, well, you should be using that to speak up in different, and everybody chooses a different stance on that, or I guess defines what that means differently.
Yeah.
For you, do you do that? And I'm sure you would have your opinions on things.
Yeah, I use my platform to encourage people to be the best they can be. Life's not gonna be perfect, but hey, your attitude can change that. Your mindset can change that. So I use my platform to help people be better.
Do you ever get angry at things that you see going on? Or is anger not part of your natural disposition? Like, here's what I'm saying. For a certain personality type, they see something happening in politics. They see some sort of injustice happening. They're like, I just can't bear to see this, and I need to. Yeah, that's not your natural disposition.
No, I'm like,
it's too bad.
Yeah. Pass the chicken.
Pass the chicken. Let me find another meme to post on Instagram.
We need humor. I think my gift is humor.
I agree.
In this world, when some things really took off for us in the speaking industry was in 2009, 2010, when the public speakers and corporate speakers was declining. I mean, everyone was, because of the recession, businesses weren't hiring people, weren't booking people. I mean, churches even weren't booking people. Yeah. So we're so tight. They're laying off people. Everyone's losing their jobs and houses. And I think that is at the exact time that our speaking exploded in the church and in the corporate arena as well. And I really think that humor, because people are so depressed, going through so much, like people will be like, in the middle of all this, you're still making me laugh, Right. And I think, well, the Bible says laughter is like a medicine. So I think that has been my gift to give is that humor to if someone's going through something in their marriage or lost a loved one.
Yeah.
How can in the middle of that, they're like, are you making me laugh right in the middle of crying? I'm like,
Yeah.
And I said, you got to find what was the joy.
Right.
There was joy in that relationship. Let's look at that, And so I think that's my gift, and that's what's really helped us grow our organization.
It's also, I think, the huge side or the big side of authenticity that I think that, can be easy to miss. I think we think of authenticity and we think about our style. We think about what makes us, unique. But I think it's also authenticity is this, I think it needs to be this refusal to be baited into social norms and societal pressures that you feel like you have to cave into. It seems like that's where people who maybe were being used or really influential in a certain way, it almost seems like they lose that it factor when they allow themselves to be baited into what people want them to be versus what you're saying, you're talking about humor. That's your thing. And you gotta stick to it.
I was just speaking at a big conference of pastors, an older denomination, and a bunch of older pastors. And I announced at the conference that I was LGBT. And and they all looked at me and they're like, what? Yeah. And I said, what does that not, what? I thought that stood for love God, big tither. And they're all like, can we laugh at that? I don't know if that's funny, and some of them were laughing, but then they're like, but I mean, let's just knock it open at the beginning here. If I can just knock you off
broke it out of the box.
Yeah. So then I thought I should get shirts made, LGBT.
It's interesting though that you're willing to take that type of risk, but not a risk to talk about other things.
Do you ever notice like that comedians can get by with saying things like you're like you can't say
some
that.
of them can get by with saying things.
Yeah.
Others try to get by with saying things, and
I'll probably be on the news saying I'm sorry for something.
You could always do stand up if this didn't work.
If this doesn't work, this speaking thing doesn't work.
You could always just
take out the wisdom part. Just tell the jokes.
Tell the jokes, dude. Just go on the road.
I think that's what some people wish I'd do anyway.
Could you just tell some jokes?
Just tell us jokes.
Just make us laugh.
Yeah.
But for you, they're different. They're different.
Yeah.
I mean, that's risky.
I could not imagine being a stand-up comedian. That freaks me out. Like I'd be scared to death to go on stage and try to tell jokes.
The humor you use within, church culture is very. I feel like they're not that welcoming of certain types of humor. Unfortunately, I think that they should be. But so what I'm saying
That's
is,
what I did
it's
too.
interesting
That's why I do it because I think they should be.
Yeah,
I'm going to help them.
Yeah,
it's my job.
But I think that it's also this like place of your risks should come from a place of conviction. You know what I mean? Versus like this pressure to appease people. Like you're willing to, you don't care. You don't care if people don't like the joke, right? Like there is this element of you that's like people. If you say a joke,
I think they needed to hear it.
Yeah.
No, I really do. It's weird because I really feel like this may sound weird to someone, but that God really helps me know how far I can go and where I need to go because the jokes are beyond just a laugh. They're to open people up to be able to do something else in there. And it's just like surgery, you give them the laughing gas and then you go in and you do the cutting, and I'll feel like, okay, no, don't tell that. You need to pull back a little bit. They're not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
And I'll, even as the night goes, I can tell I go a little bit further, but all of it is to get the message. It's not just I'm not just trying to shock people.
There's an intention. You're trying to,
and I really feel like God leads me on which jokes to tell. I'll speak somewhere. Maybe you speak 3 times, and they're like, yeah, different jokes every time. There's different jokes, different crowds, different things come up, and it's really a part of, in the church quote terms, anointing on me is to know when to tell a joke, when not to tell a joke, what's going to push them a little further so they can hear some other truth they need to hear.
How do you, when you're talking to people outside of the church world, define anointing?
Yeah, I would just say, that you kind of get a direction. Like most of them understand a piece, or they understand spirituality,
internal guidance.
Yeah. I'll feel like I should tell that joke right now. Oh yeah. Just something in you just feel. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So they understand that,
Do you have practical things that you do to read a room? Like in the sense of, because I think whether you be somebody in business or somebody in public speaking, there's this whole thing of being aware of your audience, right? Like knowing where they're at and knowing who you're talking to. How do you figure that out?
I really do rely a lot, even on the corporate arena, even more in the corporate arena than I would in the church arena.
Yeah.
I'll rely on the leading, the Holy Spirit to help me.
Yeah.
But it's funny because like a professional speaker that loves to study speakers will break down my whole, well, he did this and he did this and he was leading into, so he did a little NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And I'm like, I didn't know I did any of that. Actually, I just was up there talking. I didn't really, but I am intentional on connecting, of not trying to be like anyone else, what's my difference? It's your point of difference, not your similarity to another, but your point of difference from another that I think makes the difference. So I'm always looking, what is different about me? If I had to follow someone, like you, I can't. I watch your videos. You're awesome. I can't preach like that. My son you're one of his favorites to watch. Your clips. No, I am totally lying. But no, I'm not lying. I'm serious. But like I can't preach like that. I'm like, I didn't think of that. But you can't tell a joke like me, and I have to remember that, and go, okay, like you'll tell a story, it's hilarious, and it's in this message. I'm like, man, I wish I could do that,
right?
But you know, you just got to be. I'm the king of the dad jokes, and I'm gonna stay that. Yeah. So it's again back to what you're saying, finding who you are and being you, and I think that's what gives you the courage and the ability to do, what you do. So people will break it down. I don't really have a science to how I do it. Right. I joke every 3 to 5 minutes. Yeah. Now, I do when I do a message or a speech, I will go back and I will put the humor in. I'll spend a lot of time, especially the first time, on jokes, finding a joke, finding a one line that's going to go right there. And I try to, I guess I do. I try to about every 3 to 5 minutes have something that's funny that's just going to catch their attention. But after I've done that a couple times, different ones may pop in my head. But so I'm a little intentional in that. But I try to that first few minutes make a connection and get laughing. Right. And if they feel connected and they're laughing with you. Oh, and another thing I do, I didn't realize I do it, but I get people to agree with me at the very beginning. Hey, how many like this, or how many want this year to be better? Finding common ground with, and they get in a pattern of agreeing with you. So then when you get to the harder stuff, like, oh, well, I agree with him. Yeah. I've been agreeing with him all night, kind of thing. So some of that stuff, I didn't plan that. It just was natural. But as I studied more to teach other people speaking, I realized, oh yeah, I do this. I didn't realize I did that. Yeah. How much of it, being that you do kind of have an inside look at some of these people who are extremely influential and gifted in doing what they're doing, does it seem like majority are similar to that, in that there's an innate, to me, it's the same thing with athletes in sports. You talk to an athlete and they're like, you go watch the commentators and it's like they're breaking down everything, but it's like we were just in the moment. Like we weren't doing everything that they're analyzing and thinking, and they must have been. It's like, well, yeah, we'd love everybody to think that, but that's not the reality. We're just in the game playing it the way that, muscle memory. Yeah. Does it seem like a lot of the people that we would know or that people would know as bigger names, influencers that they would look up to? Is a lot of it innate? Is a lot of it? I would say a lot of those people is innate. Yeah. It's just, at the NSA, which is the National Speakers Association, their event, they were breaking down Joel Osteen. And just to him, he's the greatest motivational speaker. Right. And they don't even really look at him as a preacher, but as a motivational speaker. And they're breaking down how he does this and how he does that. And I'm sitting there going, he has no clue that he does any of that. Yeah. He's just trying to help people and encourage people. And he wouldn't even think of himself as a motivational speaker at all. Yeah. He's just telling them what the Bible says. Yeah. And, but I find that the ones that are really making an influence, it's not like something that they practiced. It was a natural gifting. Yeah, you these guys that really break it down, and they're just trying to emulate what they saw, what they think someone else is doing, and it's not a natural thing.
Right.
That's why I find it more in the corporate side with motivational speakers. You can tell. I mean, most of them I can hear it immediately.
Yeah.
They've rehearsed this over and over again and just saying it.
Yeah.
It's not their heart. It's not. But then you find someone else who that's their gift, and they could say that they could have preached the same message 20 times or the same speech, 100 times.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're just saying it for the very first time to you because it's really who they are.
Yeah.
In the corporate side, that people will pick, I want you to do this speech about this, or I want you to do the speech about that.
Yeah.
And so you've done it over and over again.
Yeah.
But I think it was Zig Ziglar who said he'd spend it may be a speech I've done 100 times, but I'll spend 6 to 8 hours preparing it just for that audience.
Yeah.
And I think that's been one of the keys to my success at a big event I just did. The guys I didn't feel like you were a guest speaker. I felt like you were one of us because I studied I listened to what they say. I use some of their terminology. I pull their terminology into what I'm saying. And so it sounds like I'm just part of their company, not a guest speaker they brought in to just teach my stuff.
Yeah.
And it's some simple things like that, but it makes a huge difference in the impact that you make on someone. I do it at churches too.
Yeah. What do you think the balance, if it's a balance thing, between, let me say it like this and then I'll explain it, between being an innovator and an imitator, innovation and imitation. When I say innovation, it's more that authentic thing that makes you you. When I say imitation, there's this certain things that I'm not good at that I learned from other people. How do you find the balance of those things? And maybe even to further give context within the church world, you see, right now, the thing, if you need to learn how to build a church and church structure, you go to Church of the Highlands and learn from Chris Hodges. But no matter how much you learn all of their processes, it works for Highlands in a grandiose scale. Nobody else has been able to be Highlands, even though they're doing all the exact same thing. They can experience growth. They can experience extreme success. They can all grow their churches, but no one's going to be able to do it like them because there's this innovator side, So what's, and we call it authenticity, innovation. What is the balance between, resourcing myself and when I haven't found my voice yet, I kind of got to go off of what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling. But at some point realizing I have to cling to authenticity in order for me to accomplish what I was put on the earth to do.
Yeah. And I think that's a big key in that because you can see what he's doing. Like Church of the Highlands, you bring that up. Know God, find freedom, discover your purpose, make a difference. Yeah. And you can go and do it, and people can go and do it, and it doesn't work. So it doesn't work. Well, they don't buy in all the way, or I think in the middle of that, you got to make it you. Yeah, you got to make it you. Like I had a guy said, "Well, we quit taking up passing the bucket at our church. We just put boxes on the back wall because that's what Robert Morris did, and he has more money than anyone, And I said, that's great, but that's his call. That's his anointing. Yeah. It's the old David, got on Saul's armor trying to be.
It's his authenticity. It's his.
It's a great. The play is good. A good play. Run the play. Yeah. Pastor Chris always says, just run the play. Here it is. Run the play. But in that, take ownership. You got to take ownership of it for it to be a success. So I'm like. Everything that comes out of Robert Morris is blessing, generosity. He could talk about the end times, and something in there is going to talk about generosity because that's who he is. Yeah. So it works for him, but someone else down the road, it's not going to work for them because that's not what they're called to do. They're trying to imitate exactly without being who they are. Right. And so I think in the process, I find things that work. Like, I love how they do that. I'm gonna copy that. Yeah. And I'm gonna use it, but I'm also gonna make it. I'm gonna make it mine. I'm gonna make it me. And I think that's the key in imitation and innovation. Both is I think you got to mix the two of them together. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time trying to reinvent something that you've already done that's really good. Yeah. I'm just gonna see what can I do to make it mine. Not even to make it better. Hopefully it'll be better, but I'm not trying to. I want it to be mine so that I can take ownership of it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when it's going to be successful, is when you own it.
How do you find what is yours? How do you find, like for you, how did you find your message? How did you find what was you?
I think that's just something that resonates in your heart. I think when if it doesn't move me, it's not gonna move anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So anything I ever speak or talk about is moving me,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's how I find. It's when I write, same thing. Like when I write this, do I want to turn the page? If I don't want to turn the page, then I'm writing it for me. My message is going to be for me, and I think if I have that kind of ownership with it, again, back to that word ownership again,
Right.
and then it's going to be. That's how I found mine when it spoke to me.
Yeah. Which is important. It's easy, again, I think it's that seduction or being baited into what you think people want to hear,
Right.
versus what's in you to communicate.
It's like, I remember years ago, my grandmother told me, well, all you do is you preach about this one thing, when I was young and started preaching, and there's a lot of other stuff in the Bible. I said, well, that's true, but that's not what I'm called to do.
Yeah.
So why would I try to do all this stuff? It's like, you don't get mad at your dentist because he doesn't fix your car.
Right.
Like, oh, you don't fix my car? Why? All you do is teeth. You just talk about teeth all the time. I need oil change.
Yeah.
No, that's not what he's called to do. He's called to do teeth. That's what he's gifted in, and that's what he does. And so I think we try to make people be everything, and like just what moves you. Because I think I understand. There's some people that would fly around the world to hear me speak.
Yeah.
Other people wouldn't drive across the street. That's fine. I know that's fine with me. But those that will fly around the world, I'm going to do my best for them.
Right.
And I'm going to find who's connected, who's my tribe. That old
Right.
cultural thing. That who's your tribe. I think that's the key.
Yeah. Being someone who, the thing that you do is coach people to success, right? Or encourage them. This whole idea of success. How are you defining that right now? Like success. I feel like for a lot of people, it's an evolution, of figuring out what it means. But for you, when you're saying, you're a success coach, you're trying to push people towards being a success. What is a success?
A success. Everyone has their own definition of success, and your definition of what you think of as success today is probably different than what it was 5 years ago.
So evolutionary.
And 5 years from now, it'll be totally different than what it is today. Like what I think of success right now with a couple of new ventures and things that I'm going into is totally different than what it was 5 years ago. Yeah. And 5 years from now, it'll change again. So like you said, it's always evolving. Success is a journey. We've heard that before. And so to me, success is happiness, really. If I'm happy where I'm at right now, whatever I'm doing, it's not that it's easy, not that it's perfect, but if I'm happy in it, then I'm success. I think it's Warren Buffett said to him, success was not having to work with anyone who makes my stomach turn. When you're a success, I don't like you. I don't work with you.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, to me, it's being a place of peace and happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're talking to people about success, there's part of you that's allowing them to be on their own journey to figure out what that is.
Yeah, and in that, like,
because you're not saying just happy. Well, you're not telling them find happiness. You're calling it success, right?
Yeah, and you're going to have goals. You're going to have goals and things you want to accomplish, and that's going to be in your success journey. But your goals are going to change too. So, but right now, here's my goal. I want to get to this amount of money in our account so that we can launch this new product, so that we can do this, and so how do I get to there? And how do we? With me, I work a lot on mindset. I think so much of it, our limitations is our own thinking, and so that's what I'm working a lot with people on their mindset and their thinking. But and so they're, like you said, the journey, the definition is going to change. So when I'm cushioning, what does success look like to you right now? I pull that out, and then okay, how do we get there? How do we develop a plan to get from where you are to where you want to be?
Yeah. Do you ever get tired of saying the same stuff over and over?
I always say when you get sick and tired of hearing it, you're just starting to get it.
It's so true, isn't it?
So I don't really, I've said the rest of your life will be the best of your life a lot of times. Sometimes I do have to stop and go, that's really true.
Yeah.
You got to, you can get so used to saying it that you just say it. Yeah. Well, you can do that with a quote or with a scripture.
Oh, yeah.
And you got to stop every now and then and go, no, that's really what I believe,
right.
And lean back into that and so that you can say it with passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Success, I think, is an interesting thing for me, being someone who, I don't know, is interested and observes it, because it evolves not just in our definition, but in our culture. So things that
Yeah.
are success today weren't successes yesterday. And we really don't know what is going to be the success thing tomorrow. Like, we really don't. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, you can look at predictors, but there's no way to know for sure what is going to be the thing that is success. Do you find in being around people who have success or who have built, you at the Disneys, the people who are like phenomenons, because people talk about when, what is it, the saying of preparation meets opportunity and that whole kind of thing. But there's a lot of people that have been prepared, that had opportunity, that it still didn't end up working out. Like, what do you see as the common factor when you look at those things that at one point everybody's like, you're crazy to think that people would want to come to an amusement park and that you're going to be this global phenomenon and, you're going to provide space for other people to have success. Being that we don't know what's coming, do you see like a common denominator in all of those? What's at the core of them?
I wrote this book, The 12 Traits of the Greats. It's available on Amazon.
Yeah.
And
Do you do an audiobook? Do you read it?
I do actually have an audiobook on that.
Do you?
Yeah.
And you read it yourself?
I have.
That's awesome.
In there, I studied great achievers, finding out what was
Right.
the similarities in them, or what was but everyone is so different to me. And I don't think one key, that's why I put 12 of them, so at different times, different ones are going to stand out to you. This is what I need right now. This is the key I need right now. I don't need this key to get in my house. I need this key to get in my car. So to me, I think, like I said, everything's changing. And in today's society, things are changing quicker than ever.
Yeah.
And even what was, I watched a movie the other day that's like 15 years old, and they were saying something in the movie. I'm like, oh my God, if they said that today, that would be just.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't you ever watch TV shows from the 80s or 90s and you're like, dude, like this would never fly.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with, even success. To some people, success is, oh, that's horrible that you even talk about that. That's just so not even, especially Christians,
Yeah.
And, but yet the Bible talks a lot about it.
Right.
So I think if I went to one thing that really I see for people that really accomplish great things is their mindset. I just go back to that, what they believe is possible. And I grew up in a small town in Mississippi, and I left Mississippi long before Mississippi left me. I left the location, but the mindset still held me back from a lot of things. And we'd all admit at some point in our life, we've limited ourselves by our own thinking.
Yeah.
And people can say, well, I don't need all that, or I don't want that. And a lot of times I just think it's just false pride. They're just trying to, it's because they don't have the guts to go for it, or they don't, so they'd rather just say, I don't need that instead of going for it.
Yeah.
Because I think God put in every one of us this desire to be great. He created us in His image, and He's great. So greatness is in us. And I think it's just how do we pull that out of us? And how do we pull that out of other people?
Yeah.
That
makes sense to me, because if it's in us, I would think that, the things that become successful, they come from within us in a lot of ways, put there by God or.
Well, that whole scripture, that talks about God gives you the desires of your heart, and you can go that either way. God gives you the desires. I desire that white Toyota out there.
Right.
And so God gave me that white Toyota. Or did God give me the desires of my heart, the desire to use humor, desire to, I think part of the plan, Jeremiah 29, that he gave us the desires to help us fulfill the plan.
Right.
And so it's how you look at it. So I think all that's in us.
Right.
It's just, how do we dig it out?
Because, and especially if you've been around or, indoctrinated type belief systems in religion, there is this ideology that God's plan for your life is in opposition with the desires that you would have for yourself, that these passions that you would have. So I think that there is this thing that you miss out on. Like, if God created you, if He is creator and He made you, then the things that are in you are intentionally designed there and put there as well. You can't separate those things. That's why I wonder, because I just food for thought for myself is always like, what is at the core of it? And it seems to me you remove the gifting from the organization, or you remove the person who has this thing inside of them that is almost the nucleus of everything that happens. It seems like it's never quite the same. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I feel like it evolves and it changes, but it all comes back to, I mean, you look at Apple with Steve Jobs, I think we've all seen those things when he's in it and when he's out of it, it's just different, And it seems like there is that, kind of comes full circle to kind of this theme that seems reoccurring in the conversation of this authenticity, or there is something in you that can create things around you if you'll tap into that, more than just hustle and more than just work ethic and more than just, determination, but determination that is centered around not what the external world wants you to be, but go within yourself and figure out what's in there. And then how do you take the lid off that to create space for it to become success?
Yeah. And that's, I mean, with insecurity and self-esteem, all those things, is what hinders people from just being themselves, being who they were created to be. Yeah. I always say, kind of picture up in heaven, God's got pictures of all of us up on the wall, and the picture, God's got some mad Photoshop skills, because the picture he has of you is awesome. He's already taken out all the wrinkles of weakness and the blemishes, all the failure and all that. So what happens is most of us take the picture God has of us and we lower it to how we see ourselves instead of learning to live in the picture. A friend of mine wrote a book called Godfidence, the difference in being confident and being Godfident, and really, and it took me a long time to really, I would say it's been the past 8 to 10 years, really, when I really got that this is who I am. These are my gifts, and I don't have to try to be this for that person and this for that person. This is who I am, and God put this in me, and so I'm gonna let it out.
That's hard.
It's really hard.
How did you? How have you? And how do you
still
continue
hard.
to? I don't know that we all. It's funny. We all like to talk about all the things that we used to struggle with, and forget to talk about the things that we're still struggling with. I feel like you never fully. I feel like that's something that's just anchored in humanity, that you're always going to have to war this thing that wants you to, be what people want you to be, or to, be baited into something outside of what you were put here for. Yeah. How do you, or when you coach people, how do you teach them to be okay with them when the reality is they know everything that's wrong with them? I feel like I talk to people that it's like, I'd have no problem with the self-help instructions and issues. It's just that I know me. Yeah. So you can say all of these great things about me and whatever, but you don't know me like I know me. And I already know all the things that I'm doing wrong. And it's like this internal struggle, because it would be nice if I could, but there's how do you coach people to reconcile those things?
It's like when someone says, "Oh, if you took a church, it'd have thousands of people overnight." And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't know how I'm going to get anybody to come. And so yeah, it's a constant dealing with that whole renewing your mind, every night. Because I'm like, it's easy when I'm at the big conference with Chris Hodges and he's sharing how they built Church of the Highlands. Like, yes, I could do this. Yeah, I could have the biggest church in the world. Yeah. Then you get home and you're sitting there with your, popcorn, your underwear, and you're like, I suck. Yeah, I'll never be able to do that. I can't, And so, yeah, I mean, I deal with that and constantly going, okay, I don't have the gift for that. I can't do this. And then just leaning back into that grace of, or man, I got this issue or I got that issue. And then again, leaning back into that grace of like, my heart is for God, and God looks at the desires of my heart. He's not looking at the outside, what everyone else sees. And you look at David, and I always look at him. I'm like, man, if not for grace, where would I be? Yeah. And whether it's in my gifts, my talents, or something stupid that I did. Right. Leaning on knowing that God used him because his heart was after God, even though he did some jacked up stuff. Yeah. And I mean, if you just talk about jacked up people, the whole Bible's full of those people. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That God still used. Yeah. And so I really lean into that grace a lot. Yeah. In everything from my confidence to my giftings. Yeah. If not for grace, like like having the gift to speak. God gave me that gift,
Right.
being able to communicate and get up and people laugh and get. I mean, my goodness, God could take that away in a second. So to think it's a bit about me would be the dumbest thing. That's where pride gets in, and that's I think that just jacks up people. I'm really proud of how humble I am.
Is it easy for you to separate, like, because you talk about that? I find that, and anybody you talk to, there is an awareness between, and even if it's not a conscious awareness, I think that you have to see that it's there. That there are people who have gifting that, there's these moments where you step in and you do something, or you're operating in your quote unquote gift or the thing that you're good at, and you realize that it's bigger than you. You realize that it's more than just, something that you've learned. It's something that literally has been, it just works.
Yeah.
Are you able to separate, do you separate that from you, and is that an easy thing for you?
It is pretty easy for me. I realize 90% of where I'm at, who I'm with, all that's just God.
Yeah.
That's not me at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can pretty much okay, even if I didn't have God, I could just go and, I can talk.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, well, but he gave me that gift too.
Right.
So really I can't do anything.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a hard time like some people deal with pride. I really don't have a hard time with that because I just really don't think I could do anything.
Do you ever feel like people think that you are better than you actually are?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Like I don't really know what I'm doing. I just kind of, I don't know. I just kind of figured that, I don't know. I just be nice to people and love people and this just kind of ended up being pretty successful at it.
Which is probably, I think it's a scary place to be, but also probably the best place to be, where there's this awareness of, okay, this is bigger than me.
And realizing it could all be gone. You know how when you're sitting in a chair and you're leaning back on those back two legs and you almost fall, but then you catch yourself?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that all the time.
Yeah. Which is good, right? I mean, that's a good thing.
I think it leaves you in a place where it's your total reliance is on God, And I go home at night. Oh God, why did I say that? I shouldn't have said that. That was the dumbest thing. They're gonna think I'm an idiot. They're never gonna talk to me again,
Yeah.
But then I just got to rely on him. This is his thing. I'm here for him. So.
Being that you get to experience such high points, speaking to rooms of 20,000 people or more, do you experience low points? Is it hard for you when you? It's like people who I always think about NFL athletes that have they work so hard to experience this incredible career, and then at some point it's over, but they're still alive for a lot more years. You know what I mean? There's still a lot. It's like you don't want to say you peaked, but there's this moment that is so grandiose and big. When that's gone and the people are gone and nobody's yelling your name and nobody's listening to you. Yeah. I think we've all experienced these moments where you feel this sense of what now? Where do I go from here now? Do you ever experience that?
Oh yeah. It's very easy. Get back to your room and man, you're by yourself.
Yeah.
It's just you and some peanut butter stuffed pretzels and you're eating them and you're going, that was pretty awesome. But now I'm pretty lonely sitting there, So, yeah, I mean that those highs and lows are constant.
Yeah. How do you deal with them?
I'm grateful for friends. I was telling someone the other day, I said, I'm really grateful that God's allowed me to have friends all over the world because the other day I was up at something at 3:30 in the morning and I was just like, God, I wish I had someone to talk to. And I'm like, wait, I have friends. Yeah. In Australia that are awake right now. I have friends and so I can lean. I'm thankful for friends I can lean on in those moments. I can call somebody and just start laughing, telling a conversation. All of a sudden, it starts bringing me out of that. So I've never done drugs, never turned to alcohol to fill that. I've just turned to friends and it may not even be a deep friendship, but I can call and have a conversation with someone and just all of a sudden. Laughter and you get talking and then
helps you kind of get forward moving.
Yep, and you get going. So I'm grateful. I'm addicted to friends.
It's a good addiction to have, right?
I used to be addicted to Krispy Kreme donuts.
Really?
But But
You don't eat Krispy Kremes anymore?
I still.
Do you watch what you eat? Are you pretty?
I've been clean now about 9 months.
Are you like gluten free or like, do you not eat certain things?
No, I actually add gluten if I can.
Really?
Do you have any extra gluten?
What's your approach to those kinds of things, being that you travel so much?
It's a lot of work traveling. I mean, that's something you have to be very intentional on, because you go out to eat. That's where you do. You hang out, and if you're with Christians, that's your only sin you're allowed is food. Thing. So you can be glutton
and coffee.
Yeah,
right.
So you can have coffee and donuts. Get fat.
And wine now. They're allowed wine. I hear.
Well, I heard that too.
I heard that too. Not you.
I don't know if that's true. Jesus did it, but I'm not trying to be Jesus.
My grandma, she always says, she always has this. She has this testimony. She's like, I've never had a lick of alcohol in my life. She says, but I like strawberry daiquiris, non-virgin. It's like her whole thing. It's like, Grandma, you realize that then you've had a lick of alcohol in your life. No, I have not.
No,
not me.
My parents won't even have cough medicine because there's alcohol in there.
Not allowed.
I might go to hell.
You play in the devil's playground. He's gonna take you under. I'm sure you've seen a lot in church. What's your favorite church memory? Funniest church memory? What's your funniest church story? And it's got to be better than hitting people with their jacket.
Oh my goodness.
Their coat.
That I can tell.
Oh, come on, just tell it.
Come on, I don't know.
Just say it. I got you biting your tongue in this podcast a couple moments.
Did
you see how nervous he got when we talked politics for a second? He was sweating, man.
Man, let me think of it. My funniest.
Hey, the funniest video to me? Have you seen, and I don't care, so I'm going to look up the woman have you seen the Holy Ghost enema one?
Mm-mm.
The woman that's preaching, and she tells everybody that they need a Holy Ghost enema right up their rear end. Have you seen that video?
I do. I know
Pull
her.
up that video.
Actually,
just
I know her very well.
She's your friend?
I promise you, I can pull up her cell phone number on my phone right now.
Why does she do that, though? Should we call her and ask her? Because there's things that happen in a moment, like if you get going, you know what I'm saying?
My engine.
Yeah, watch.
Revving to go.
You know who that is?
Revving up.
Yeah.
How about yours? And if it's not, you know what?
I know both those guys behind her right there, too.
You know what you need?
This is funny, though,
You
okay?
need a Holy Ghost enema right up your rear end.
Okay, time out. Because that is the funniest thing. Dave, you have to tell me that is not the funniest thing. Like, I've been in some church. There's something about being in a church service where it's like, it's a safe place. You know what I mean? And there's things that happen that in the moment it feels so right. And then afterwards you're like, that was so not right. That was
25
not okay.
years later when they're playing it on YouTube, you're like,
And we're talking about it on the podcast, right?
Oh yeah, there's
What you
name
need
right there.
What you need is a Holy Ghost enema right up your rear end. And it's probably true. It's just a different way to put it. But that's funny.
Yeah, it's like one time one guy was talking about the church is a living organism, and every living organism needs a bowel movement every now and then. Sometimes you just gotta release it.
You just got.
There's just a bunch of. Oh my goodness.
There's countless
There
ones.
you go.
But I feel like anybody who's grown up in church, they have the most stories. I feel like that's why they could be stand-up comedians, because you can't make this stuff up. You literally can't. Like, it's funny.
Yeah, especially if you grew up in a small church in Mississippi. Yeah, it can be kind of
People just
crazy
act a fool
stuff.
in church.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but you wonder. I think that they just, I don't know. It's such a safe place. Now it's not because there's cameras.
Yeah. Yeah. I recorded a lady on the airplane today.
You did?
Yes.
I love doing
It
that,
was
dude.
crazy. She was
Do you have,
crazy.
like, sneak
She started
tactics?
hitting me on the plane. She stole my phone. We had to call and get it out of her purse.
Are you serious?
No, it was crazy.
Wait, you're serious?
No, I'm totally 100%
She stole your phone?
serious. Yeah. It was an accident, she said. But I'm like, where's my phone? It was in her purse.
You had to
Yeah,
gauge security.
on the flight. It was crazy. She had one too many.
She
think
did.
Mixed with some medication.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got kind of crazy.
Strawberry daiquiris, non-virgin.
Yeah,
That was she
exactly.
kicking it back.
The Jack Daniel's chicken, hold the chicken.
Yeah, hold the chicken.
Yeah.
That's so good. Oh my gosh. So I mean, you see a lot of stuff in church. And I think it's the
Or on the
craziest
airplane.
thing. Or on the airplane. I mean, I guess life. If you're looking for it, you can find humor everywhere.
Yeah.
What about the story when you were hunting and you got shot in the eye by Dick Cheney?
Yeah.
What is that story?
that
You're
crazy?
famous. Well, tell everybody
Have you
because they
seen
don't
that?
know.
Have you seen the video?
No, I've seen your video where you talked about it, but I don't really know like the full.
You haven't seen the rap video?
No, what's the rap video?
Oh, yeah, they did a remix of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, no, I did. You sent me that. I
Did I
think I
send it
did
to
hear
you?
it. Like somebody made it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So what happened?
So,
You got shot in the eye.
Yeah, we were out hunting, and another guy shot too low, Sean Nepstead, and I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus or anything, but
Sean Nepstead.
Sean
He's the one
Nepstead-
that shot you.
Yeah, I don't want to say who it was, but Sean, when he shot too low, because he's probably not being safe with his gun.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Wait,
And
how did he shoot? Where were you? Where were you standing?
so they've got this position in pheasant hunting called the blocker,
Okay.
which is really a dumb position. Now that I think about it, I like the position at first because you don't have to walk.
Okay.
So it's kind of
You stand there.
lazy.
It's kind of a little bit lazy.
Yeah,
and comfortable.
So I'm like, that sounds like a good position.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Sounds like success to me. Happiness,
Yeah.
right?
So you get behind this big hay bale, and they're coming down the field towards you, and you're down there. So any birds that get away, they fly right past you, and you can shoot them.
Okay.
So, so I was down there, but if they shoot, if they're shooting high enough, you're supposed to have some sky between your gun and below your gun, and he just shot too low, and a pellet from the 12 gauge, it sprays pellets. A pellet, just stray pellet, got me about a half inch right below my eye, and I was just standing there talking to another guy, and all of a sudden I was like, bam, and I was like, it shocked me, and I was like, what was that? And I looked down, all of a sudden blood's just
So you
pouring
didn't
out.
even realize what had happened.
Yeah, I didn't at first, I was in shock. It's just like, and then, you think on television, you see someone get shot in the face. You're like, half my face is
Yeah,
gone,
yeah.
And so, and there's blood pouring everywhere. So I didn't know what was going on, but
What was everybody's response?
everyone was freaking out.
Was it awkward?
And I think Sean,
Did Sean feel, I'm sure he felt bad.
he probably feels pretty bad.
Did he say sorry?
Yeah.
Did he buy you anything? Like to say
he
sorry?
will.
He
He
will.
will.
He hasn't yet.
Yeah. The lawsuit's not over. But he'll buy me a lot of things, maybe a new church. But yeah, so I mean, talk about favor. I was below my eye,
Dude.
half inch below my eye, and it's healed up. I mean, I think it's still a little black and blue. I don't even really notice it, but people will be like, "What happened to your eye?" I'm like, "Oh, I got shot in the face. It's nothing big deal." So my theme song every time I see him, I see Sean now, I think of that song. I can't feel my face when I'm with you. Yeah.
Had you been hunting before?
That was my first time hunting.
What? Your first hunting experience?
First one. And probably my last.
I wonder, what did everybody say though? Like, if I'm there and somebody gets shot in their eye, like, was there panic? Was there like somebody call somebody? Like,
Yeah, the hunting guides weren't shocked at all. They weren't like panicking at all, which gave me peace actually. Because I'm like, okay, must not be that bad, and this must happen probably a lot. Because I was talking to one of them earlier who said he has a couple pellets in his jaw, and he didn't even realize it until he was at the dentist. And they're like, "What is?" I remember I got shot that one time. So
that one time.
so I looked at him, and he wasn't totally panicking. So I'm like, okay, it must not be that bad, because he started getting the dogs and putting them in the truck instead of like calling a helicopter, an ambulance, or something. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I was still, I was shocked at first, but then after that, it was fine.
And you're fine.
Yeah.
That's
and now I
crazy.
just tell everyone I got shot down. I was on the south side of
Of
Dakota.
Of course you do.
Of Dakota.
You
South
should use
Dakota.
that story to your advantage, huh?
Oh yeah.
Kind of build on it. Does it build every time?
It is getting better.
every time that you tell it. Oh, in all of your travels, I do have this question. In all of your travels, because you are so busy, but you have a family, how do you do all that and still keep things healthy?
Yeah, I try to take them with me as much as we can. My wife travels a lot and speaks as well, so my son will sometimes go with me, sometimes with her. But 50% of the time we're together. That's another one of those things. I just think there's a grace. God gives you a grace for it. Like my son, I think of him. We're looking at something that would take us off the road some, and people are like, it's gonna be so much better for your son. Like, my son doesn't know what to do if he was just in the same place.
Yeah, because it's always ever known.
Yeah. So like, is moving, is that going to be tough on him? I'm like, No.
Yeah.
Staying in the same place might be tough on him, but it's just all he's ever known. So like people say, well, what's normal? I mean, well, there's no normal is what works for you.
Yeah.
The balance is what works for you, I think. So I don't think I can give someone say this is balance. I think everyone finds their own balance.
Yeah.
You know,
If there is such a thing, right?
if there even is a balance. Yeah.
But it's finding what works for you and your.
So we love it. I mean, my son, he was doing it. He homeschools, so he had to fill out a thing the other day, a map of the U.S., and he had to mark all the states he'd been to. And I'm like, he's 13. He's been to all but I think 4 states. And he's been to I think all but like one continent.
Really?
I think Antarctica is the only continent he hasn't been on.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's pretty interesting experiences that he's had. He's being homeschooled. He's not that great at in spelling, but he sure can't have a conversation with
it. What is he into? Have you found having a 13-year-old has like kept you young? Like, are you still a cool dad in his eyes?
Oh, definitely.
So you're still like,
I think, man, I'm so much cooler than my dad was. I mean, I don't know how that happened, but
do you think it's true, or do you think that all dads think that?
God, I hope it's true.
I wonder sometimes.
Yeah, I hope it's true. I think we're getting cooler nowadays, maybe.
We hope.
Yeah.
Well, that is one thing I think that might be true, because I think social media almost like normalizes a lot. Like if you're on social media, because everybody's then seeing things that are current trends, right? Like it seems like it does bridge somewhat of a gap between generations, because in times past, you only knew what was hitting if you were around people that were kind of guiding the culture. I feel like now everybody's so feeding off the same technology and news and media and
you can throw a joke out there that's some YouTube thing that went around, a Vine or something, and it's like everyone laughs. You're like,
everybody knows.
Yeah.
Are you on TikTok?
So, no,
you
but
should
my
be on
son
TikTok.
was doing that the other day. Wanted me to be on one with him.
Oh, dude, do a TikTok.
But I haven't done that. I've had Tic Tacs. Is that similar?
You are a comedian, aren't you? All of this family style comedy, If you should, when you go on your next Disney cruise, you should do the family hour.
Yeah.
And tell your Tic Tac jokes. I don't know about TikTok, but I know about Tic Tacs.
Hashtag dad joke.
Hashtag dad joke.
My son actually, he's pretty funny. He's got a great sense of humor. He told me the other day, he said, Dad, what would the Secret Service say if someone pulled a gun on Donald Trump? Donald, duck.
Did he make that up, or he found that one?
I don't know if he made it up.
The real question is, does your wife still laugh at your jokes?
She does.
She does.
Yeah, but she does very well in life because of them. So I guess she should laugh.
Just keep on laughing, baby.
She's wearing those jokes.
I love it. She's wearing those jokes, ain't she? Oh, man. Do you read a lot?
I do read a lot.
Okay. Because I always wonder, like, a lot of, if you're an author, are you naturally a reader?
Yeah, because I'm writing, and I'm constantly studying. I'm constantly reading. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love to read. I always have a book with me. Just finished, and I don't think you ever get a book from the first time. Mm-hmm. I think you got to read it 2 or 3 times to really get it. I just finished Necessary Endings. Great book, just for the 3rd time. Now I'm reading. I just recently connected with a guy named Harvey McKay, who's been a hero of mine. He's 87 years old, and I got to spend some time with him. But 2 of his books are in the top 20 best business books of the last 100 years.
Really?
Up with Dale Carnegie and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and all those. Yeah. One was How to Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive. So I'm reading that now.
Yeah.
And then also he wrote one, never take a shirt off the back of a naked man, something like that. It's crazy titles.
Yeah.
But those are both successful, great books. So I'm reading both of those.
How long does it normally take you to get through a book? And you're like a reader, right? Not like audiobooks. Like you're like,
yeah, because I like to mark in the book. I like to actually have the book and mark in it. And it takes me a while because I have a hard time focusing.
Yeah.
If I'm by myself, I'll literally walk and read, like walk around my room and read it out loud. Or I'll sit and read. I have to read it out loud to really get it.
Yeah.
If I'm on a plane and I'm reading, like I'll have to read the same paragraph like 4 or 5 times
I can so
because
relate.
I start thinking of
Yep.
10 million other
Mind
things,
wanders.
or the drunk lady next to me that keeps
Yep.
hitting me. Yeah, she distracts.
And stealing
She's
your phone.
taking my phone.
Drinking her Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
Chicken without the chicken.
That was crazy.
Who would you say have been your, let's say, top 2 mentors, whether you've known them or not? Who have you learned from the most? Top 2.
Probably John Maxwell and Mike Murdoch.
Really?
Yeah.
Why Mike Murdoch?
I traveled with him for 7 years.
Did you really?
So, yeah. So,
And that was before you were, was that before you were like an itinerant speaker speaking, or?
yeah. So it was 20 something years ago. I traveled with him first before I met my wife, and then I met her, and we went back and traveled with him again for a few years.
Wow.
So, yeah. So he was up close mentor.
Yeah.
I was with him. I was in his home. I traveled with him. John Maxwell for years was a mentor from reading his books, listening to his tapes, and then more recently, really building a great friendship and relationship with him. But for years, I didn't know who he was. I mean, personally, you know. But so I think, you know, your mentors, maybe someone you never met before.
Yeah.
You know.
So true.
And then now I've got a guy named Nito Kubain who is phenomenal, who's become a real mentor to me recently. Yeah. He's the president of High Point University, one of the most brilliant people.
Really?
It's funny. I just went and spent the day with him, and he told me, he's like, yeah, John's coming up, Maxwell. He's coming up. He's bringing a guy. He's a pastor that he wants me to meet and wants to spend some time with. And I said, oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember. And so it was Pastor Chris Hodges.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay. You know, if John Maxwell's bringing you there, this guy must be pretty,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
pretty much knows what he's talking about. So he's an incredible guy. He sits on the board of like SunTrust Bank and Lazy Boy, but what he's built this university is just amazing. So
I'll wrap it up with this, but I think one of the most intriguing things for me about what you're able to do with what it is that you do is kind of what we talked about in the beginning, but this ability to be in so many different diverse circles that if you are outside of them, you know that even they themselves can be somewhat exclusive rather than inclusive.
Yeah.
Yet you're able to slip into their meetings, slip out of their meetings, and almost be like a commoner, insider with all of those people. Seems like you don't focus on the things that you have different, the things that you probably have more in common. Is that, do you find that's not just easy for you personally, but do you ever finding yourself having to not talk about other circles that you're connected to around certain circles that are a little bit more exclusive?
yeah, I just wouldn't, you know, you may have friends that aren't friends, you know, and you just, like I said, I talk about what I'm for, not what I'm against, you know, and in those circles, hey, what's our common, what do we have in common here? And then I get in other circles, which they actually need something that this circle has that they've kind of thrown out, but this would really help you guys if you understood this.
So then you almost act as a bridge in some ways.
So, yeah, I really feel like I'm able to build a bridge and then also navigate where I've been able to help a lot of people that are looking for connection. Like, okay, you know, you really wouldn't fit in this circle, but these people would be awesome for you.
Yeah.
And so I've been able to, I think God's allowed me to do that to help other people find their place where they can really be connected, that they can help them grow and develop as well. So I love having the opportunity to do that, you know, and to be in those different places. And sometimes I'm like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
You know, I'm always like that. I'm like, how in the world did this happen?
But I think it's pretty incredible. And I think it says a lot about you, the ability to be able to do that and to be able to keep, you know, even though you may not agree with every nuance of everybody, to stay objective. I mean, because what a gift to those people you can be that they wouldn't have otherwise. So I think that's pretty.
Yeah. And I think I've said it like 3 times or more, but I think it's looking at what do we have in common instead of what we're against.
Yep.
What are we for?
Yeah.
You know, what can we talk about that we both love? You know, maybe it's a Disney cruise.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, let's find that instead of looking at race. I don't really agree with how you do this. You baptized this way, or you.
Right.
I'm like, it's not worth it to me.
Do you ever then have conversations though? How do you have conversations then to evolve or to be better if you're not discussing things that could be challenging to discuss with someone?
Yeah, I just live my whole life on the surface.
That's what you do.
No,
Just a pretty shallow person.
yeah, and
you
if
know?
it gets deep, I just make a joke. That's what my wife says. You always make a joke when I'm trying to talk about something serious. I'm like, that's because you're talking about something serious. I don't want to talk about that. No, I mean, we will have those conversations, and sometimes I'll be like, yeah, inside I'll be like, I don't agree with that, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And then other times I'll be like, I'll go back home. I'll be like, you know what? I need to look at that a little bit more because that makes sense to me. And I've just always just said no.
Yeah.
But I need to look at that a little. And I've changed the way I thought about things or seen things by those kind of conversations.
And it's probably the context of the relationship too, right? I mean,
But I'm not looking to argue and
Yeah.
debate about it.
Right.
You know, I don't debate with most people. A debate requires two minds.
yeah.
So most people don't deserve it.
Man, thank you so much for stopping by the podcast. and
Oh,
hanging
man,
out
this
with
is
me.
awesome.
It's the best.
I'm awesome. This is awesome. I
You
love
said I'm
this.
awesome.
I started to say I'm awesome.
Here. He just
That
never
was-
quits.
That slipped out.
I'm awesome.
That slipped out. I didn't mean that. I meant to say this thing's awesome with my name on it. I love this.
Oh,
Did I get a
love
picture
you.
with this?
Yeah, you can. We'll take as many as you want.
Awesome.
You're awesome.
I'm awesome.
Thanks, man.
This is awesome.
I appreciate it.
This is great. I love this podcast. The table.
All right, you
that
call.
you?
You just text the Bang Energy guy.
Yeah.
That's your. Yeah.
If you ain't banging, you ain't hanging.
We'll leave it there. Thanks, Dave.